Minnesota Twins, they score 8 runs. They win game 1 versus KC. We're breaking it all down next on the Locked On Twins postcast.
You are Locked On Twins postcast, part of Locked On Minnesota on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up? What's up? Back in the lab, back at it. Another Minnesota Twins postcast episode right here on the Locked On Sports Minnesota Network. It's your team every day. You got myself, Luke Inman, at Luke_Spinman. That's the man, Sweet Lou Hennesey, Twins expert over at Zone Coverage MN. He's on X. Give him a follow. At Sweet Lou MN. Dude, you're recording a postcast on the same night the Twins won a ball game. How cool is that? Maybe the tides are turning now here, Lou.
This is fun. I like it when this happens. This is a nice little turn of events.
I was joking with you before we jumped on the show. I should tally up everybody's record, yours, Theo Tollefson, CJ Baumgartner's, and see who's got the best record when you guys are co-hosting on these Twins postcasts. I'm sure it's pretty even, but it would be nice to have bragging rights, like you said. Plenty to get into from tonight's game, but first, quick reminder, tonight's episode brought to us by Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB. Use code, all lowercase, LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Okay, game 1 versus KC. Pablo on the mound needs some momentum back after you dropped those last 2 versus Cleveland Saturday and Sunday. So need some momentum in the worst way. And they delivered. The bats got popping again. Willie Castro homered, a 3-run shot. Royce Lewis homered, his 15th homer of the year. 10 total team hits on the night. 8 runs scored. More than enough for Pablo Lopez. He went 6 innings strong. Twins win it 8-3. They win game 1 versus Kansas City. Division lead still at 3.5 games. Cleveland won tonight 9-8. Give me your biggest takeaways, kind of your A topics, and then we'll do a deep dive on Pablo Lopez's day a little bit more next.
Sure. It's just, it's monumental how big this series is versus the Royals.
Yeah.
I think we were thinking about the 4-gamer versus Cleveland as kind of this premier opportunity. This is just as much of an opportunity because we got KC nipping right at our heels there. And so it was good to see them bounce back and make some adjustments after starting off pretty slow tonight, especially, talking about the offense. It was one of those games after the first inning, you're like, oh boy, here we go. It might just be one of those nights. They're a little bit in a funk. Pablo maybe doesn't have everything, and it's amazing how quickly things can turn in the heat of the summer here.
Yeah, now let's deep dive into Pablo's day a little bit more because this is kind of going to be the A topic now, I think, the rest of the way, right? Like, what's this starting rotation look like without Joe Ryan for really, we don't know exactly how long, weeks, months, pretty big contrast there per Rocco, but here's the stat line from tonight. 6 innings, 6 hits, only 2 earned runs, 5 Ks, no walks, 96 pitches. So let's just start there. What kind of grade would you give him, I guess? And which way did the meter, the temperature move on him after today's outing, if it moved at all?
I think just looking at the stat line, I would give him a solid B with a B plus, maybe with some extra credit because he really did turn things around. After the first couple innings there, he was approaching 50 pitches. So it was kind of looking like, boy, this might be a short outing. Who knows? But good to see him turn it around and get through 6 strong. And look at that, a quality start just like that.
Yeah, all in all, pretty solid, of course. The bar is set so high with Pablo, especially after his 2023 season. Last year, didn't really always look the part. But so far, again, if you just look at the big picture, in the second half specifically, Pablo, more times than not, giving you that old version of Pablo that we got used to last year. All eyes, again, are going to be on the starting rotation. So once you do get past, like Pablo Lopez, obviously Bailey Ober, your top 2.
Yeah.
What's your honest evaluation of the Twins starting pitcher, for these next, what do we got, 45, 50 games or so?
Yeah, I'm not even sure they know where they would kind of rank the next guys up. I think Simeon Wood Richardson is obviously really impressed, but at the same time, we're putting a lot of pressure on a 23-year-old rookie, and he just had made his 20th start, I want to say.
Mhm.
He's got to be nearing his career high in innings pitched. So I wouldn't be surprised, it wouldn't be shocking to see him kind of come back down to earth a little bit more. But so far, he's been really solid. And I think they've really liked some of the flashes they've seen from David Festa, especially recently. And we might just see a couple other kind of young studs coming up soon here, but I'm sure we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah, we will. But you know what? Let's do a quick 30-second deep dive because you and I didn't talk during the Cleveland series. SWR, man, his last start, 7 innings, career high, 4 hits, 2 earned, and 2 earned runs on 2 solo shots. So just 2 bad pitches, really, that kind of cost him 7 Ks, 89 pitches. Maybe he could have even went out for that 8th inning. But I mean, that was super encouraging for sure.
Absolutely. And, I think they've been thrilled with what he's giving them and kind of the growth that he's shown throughout this year. It's for a rookie to stick in a rotation for 20 straight starts as it is. It's another thing for them to excel. And he's really done just that when they weren't necessarily expecting this type of production from him coming into this season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then again, like you said, Festa was great too. I think career high 9 Ks his last outing. So that was fun to see. Louis Varlin in game 2 versus Cleveland was actually kind of encouraging.
Yeah.
Maybe he got left out one too many innings, sure. But all in all, I thought for Louis Varlin, I mean, we've seen a lot worse. That's for sure. Maybe they can get Chris Paddock back here eventually. I don't know. But all in all, again, I mean, the temperature feels cold, right? Everybody's worried. A lot of encouraging outings, at least most recently with some of those guys. I know they worked out Rich Hill, 44-year-old Rich Hill, I should say. Does that name move the needle at all, or is it kind of like beggars can't be choosers at this point?
I always love watching Rich Hill, even when he was pitching for other teams. So I would be thrilled to kind of see what they could get. A little lightning in a bottle, late career, twilight.
This is like
years
when
of
the
his
Vikings
career.
signed Terrence Newman when he was like 39 years old. It's like, are you a coach? Are you actually a player? Are you suiting up? Are you going out there? I thought you're a coach.
Sir, are you picking up your kids at some point here? No,
right. Are you cashing Social Security checks at this point? What are we doing?
No, but in all honesty, I think it would be really fun to see him make a handful of starts and see what you can get out of him. But at the same time, I think that, like I said, the Twins would be really thrilled with what they've seen from some of the rookie pitchers and some of the exciting ones that may still be to come, and kind of that maybe mini rotation of guys at the back end of the rotation that maybe go up and down for throughout the rest of the season here.
Yeah, absolutely. They might just need, because like you said, SWR reaching his career high. David Festa probably already hit his career high. I'm going to ask you about Zebby Matthews here in a second. Again, we don't know what's going on with Chris Paddock. And then of course you got the top 2 right at the top, Bailey Ober, Pablo. But yeah, they might just need a warm body back there that just knows how to get on the mound in a professional setting and chew up a couple innings. Good segue to Zebby. I know you're kind of tapped in on all these prospects. We actually talked about the Twins farm system. I think that was last week after ESPN came out with an article and had the Twins farm system ranked 4th in the MLB, which was pretty encouraging. Let's say we do end up seeing Zebby Matthews, which I think we will. I don't think they have a choice. In fact, we might see him tomorrow. Who knows? But what's the quick scouting report on him? Because I know there's been a lot of encouraging buzz around his name the last few months. So what's his story, kind of background? What's he bring to the table when he's at his best?
Look, he's the prototype for this front office and the player development system that the Twins have kind of put into place over the last few years, where they can go into the draft and take somebody in the 13th round from some non-premier college in, coastal Carolina or something like that. And they can just grab these 6'5" righties who maybe didn't get a ton of eyes on them based on the non-elite program that they were at. But then they get into the Twin system and start pumping up that fastball up from 91 all the way up to 96, 97 Zebby's kind of sitting at this point. And he's got 3 other just killer offerings that have been just bones for him this year in 3 different minor league levels where he's excelled at various levels of all of them. He only has 4 starts at AAA, but he showed some really great flashes with a really high strikeout to walk ratio, which is something under the hood that you're always looking for with the starting pitching prospect. So look for him to kind of control the ball in the zone and hopefully excite some folks when he makes his next start, which I'm pretty sure it's going to be at Target Field on Tuesday.
Yeah, great breakdown there. Good tease. Again, potentially seeing Zebby Matthews up for his first professional start just tomorrow night. That would be awesome. All right, Rocco report time. So game 1 versus Kansas City, the Rocco report, it says what?
There's been a lot of talk recently about, with Carlos Correa's extended absence from the lineup, kind of who's been occupying the top of that lineup. And I've appreciated the consistency of seeing Trevor Larnach in the 2-hole against right-handed starting pitchers. I think it's a good opportunity, one, because his numbers against righties are really good and among the best on the team. But two, it's a pretty prime opportunity when the lineup flips around a few times through. It's a good opportunity for a pinch hitter right there to get a righty, to take his place in the 2-hole. And we've seen it really work for Rocco time and time again. So it's going to be interesting to see how the lineup, if they do find any sort of consistency when Carlos does return. But for the time being, I've really liked seeing Trevor Larnach near the top.
Love that. Good breakdown per usual. Plenty more deep dive from this one. Plus, we got our nerdy stat of the day. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, today's episode brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, patience, the formula for winning championships. Also what keeps your ride or die alive. In eBay Motors, they got everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to the ultimate peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights. They got it all. And whether you're into speed, power, or style, they got you covered. 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And eBay's Guaranteed Fit, your part guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back with all the parts you need at the prices you want. Easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay's Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. All right, I'm just going to ask you here, point blank here. What is your confidence level with this team? Just knowing all the injuries they got going on. Like, what's the ceiling right now? No Carlos Correa, no Joe Ryan for who knows how long. What's the vibes right now, the Minnesota Twins? Because it just feels like being resilient, right? Being gritty, being tough every day only gets you so far. Like, eventually, you still got to have the players. You got to have real talent out there night in and night out.
It's kind of a weird, delicate balance where there's a little bit of angst over the injury situation and, being in second place in the division mixed with this excitement of, oh my God, this team is still really quite good. We're 3.5 games back from the best record in the American League. So I think it's natural to have a kind of mix of emotions, especially after a pretty underwhelming trade deadline when we were kind of hoping to see a splash. But I would say my general sense, just based on being around the team a little bit, would be that it's mostly veering towards the positive side. And the angst of some of the injury situation does put a little damper on things, but it's not sinking it by any means.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about the starting rotation a lot. That's the A topic, probably as it should be. But at what point do you start to say, like, this doesn't even matter unless we get our captain back, right? Our true number one guy, Carlos Correa. Like, he's got to be out here, man. It's just getting into crunch time. He's too important of a piece to this whole puzzle, I guess. Like, what's more important, I guess? I'll just ask you, losing Joe Ryan or not having Carlos Correa for all this time that he's missed thus far and potentially a couple more weeks? Who knows?
Yeah, time will tell. That's for sure. I think they probably have a few other guys that could step up in Carlos's place,
right?
That are more likely to do that than maybe in the starting rotation for someone like Joe Ryan. It's a pretty hot commodity to have a starting pitcher of his caliber. Both are, if they're going to miss significant time, which Carlos already has at this point, he's approaching a month, I want to say, since he's been out. So, extended absences for star players, it's never going to be easy to fill, but I think there's a few more guys in the offense that I could see stepping into Carlos's shoes before a starting pitcher steps into Joe Ryan's shoes.
From a depth perspective, can't argue there for sure. Just so much more thin in the starting rotation, whereas Carlos Correa goes out. Boy, they got not just one. It feels like multiple guys they can fling in there. Rocco can work his magic, and so far so good. But again, eventually a captain, just from kind of a human element standpoint, right? Just from the emotional standpoint of this game, you want your captain out there, you want your leader out there, kind of putting his team on the back, so to speak. Do you feel better or do you feel worse than you did after the Cleveland series? Because Jekyll and Hyde, man, like on one hand, they did do some really nice things. They went out and won those first two games, kind of playing with house money after the Bailey Ober game one, and then Louis Varland goes out there and you end up winning game two. On the other hand, I mean, you gain literally 0 ground on them, right? You're still 3.5 back. Not to mention, it really felt like Sunday night, the reality of all those injuries really
Yep.
hit home when they lost those last 2. Again, after beating them the first 2 games, didn't it?
Yeah, it's maybe this is easy to say because we've already seen them win game 1 of the Kansas City series, but I would say that I was a little more encouraged by the 4-game split with Cleveland because in the last 2 or 3 seasons, we've seen a few different 4-gamers that have absolutely sunk the Twins season when they go,
Yes. Yeah.
they've been swept in Cleveland in 4 games twice, I want to say, in the last 3 years, both times at pretty pivotal points of the season that just really felt like rock bottom for the club. And at this point of the season, if you hit a rock bottom, sometimes you don't see teams get back up from that. And especially if their captain is going to be out for a significant time. So I would say I'm a little more encouraged, but again, a mix of emotions for sure.
Yeah, if I polled 100 people, 100 Twins fans, I think they would agree with you. I think more people than not would say I'm actually a little bit more encouraged than I was beforehand because you're
Sure.
right. Low muscle memory, low PTSD, already got swept 4 games by him earlier this year. And you're still in it. You're still in the mix, man. This could have sunk them, as you said, as you mentioned, still 3.5 back.
Right.
Was there anything that really stuck out to you, more than, I guess, other things from that Cleveland series? Like, was there one thing, I guess, you learned about this Twins team, and that could be for good or bad after those 4 games?
Yeah, so watching Emmanuel Clase, the closer for Cleveland, he's incredible. He's probably the best closer in the game, and especially against the Twins over the last 3 years, he's got an absolutely minuscule ERA, and he just buzzsaws them down. They were able to put together a few hits against him, and unfortunately, they didn't score any runs. But at least we could see that he could be touched a little bit here.
He's human. Yeah,
yes,
I haven't sat down and really watched him, and I asked Theo after the game. I go, that dude's got to be like top 10, if not top 5.
100%.
And it's good to hear you validate the fact that he might actually be the best closer in baseball because that dude was ridiculous, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a potent weapon back there in that bullpen. So you still got 4 more against Cleveland in September. I know that. And then honestly, that'll probably be for the division right there. Problem is now Cleveland's got the tiebreaker, I know, which, as we know, that could prove very costly as well. And then the fly in the proverbial ointment here, we should mention the team you're facing right now, the Royals.
Yeah.
They may have something to say about this as well at that point, too, because they're breathing down everybody's neck as well.
Yeah, I definitely take Kansas City seriously. I think that they're a pretty strong team. They're a little top heavy. I think their rotation has been really, really good, especially at the high end there. But they have a couple of superstar hitters. But beyond that, I think their depth is lacking when it is being compared to the Twins or to Cleveland. But they're definitely still scary. So it's a series they definitely want to come away with at least 2 wins here.
The Athletic just came out with the top 50 free agents for next offseason. Wouldn't you know it? Not one single Minnesota Twin on the list. Not one in the entire top 50 list. So does that make you feel, I guess, even better about just this young core, this young nucleus they've kind of built here, and the idea that, no matter what happens this season, maybe they still make the wild card, but they, get booted in the first round. Who knows? But they should be in the same boat, the same position next year to be potentially even more competitive again with so many young guys taking that next step.
Yeah, 2 thoughts come to my mind initially.
Okay.
One, yes, the young core, the young nucleus that is going to be central to this club and already is becoming pretty central to this club. Very important. Number 2, justice for Carlos Santana. Where is he on the top 50 free agent list?
I couldn't believe it.
He's had a great season.
I couldn't believe it. Yeah, not one. I scrolled through up and down 2 times. I'm like, there's not one Minnesota, not even Santana. Couldn't believe it. Nope. Well said. Nerdy stat of the daytime. You got some sort of crazy stat or, fun analytic Twins related. What do you got tonight? Lay it on us.
You know what? I'm calling these Twins the punchback Twins because they have answered back in 38% of innings after an opponent scores, and that is the highest in Major League Baseball. That stat's coming from Inside Edge Scouting Services.
I love that. Good one. Another good one, per usual. All right, don't go anywhere. Got to preview Game 2 and Game 3 versus the Royals. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, tonight's episode brought to us by Prize Picks. Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members to date. And for me and my money, I swear by it, it's by far the easiest and most exciting way to get in on all the action while you watch your favorite sports and you watch your favorite players. So simple. All you got to do, you pick more or you pick less on 2 or more player stats, and you watch the winnings roll in. Baseball season, obviously in full swing. So whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, home runs, you name it, they got it. Take your pick on more or less and add them to your Prize Picks entry today. Plus, they now offer Apple Pay for quick and easy deposits into your account all season long. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code, and this is all lowercase, Locked On MLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Okay, game 2 versus KC tomorrow. Just played 4 in a row, including that doubleheader Friday, I guess that was, versus the Guardians. I got to imagine, just mentally, I bring that up because just mentally, this team probably running on fumes just a little bit. That series almost had some October vibes to it, not to mention some of those games were like brutally long too. A couple 3-hour games in the mix as well, which obviously we just don't see a lot anymore. What's these next 2 games look like with the Royals now? And then I guess, what do you like most about this kind of head-to-head matchup? What intrigues you the most? Because again, Royals aren't going anywhere. This is a pretty important series here, right here.
Yeah, so for teams like the Twins and Kansas City and Cleveland that are all kind of bunched right up together in the standings, they want to be facing each other in these last couple of months here.
Yeah.
Feels like the ball's in their court and they're ready to kind of have the fate in their own hands, so to speak. So it's going to be a big couple of games, but they're not going to have much time to dust themselves off because they've got a whole nother week of games without an off day here. So they're going to have to find a way to retain some of their energy for the road trip and go from there.
How daunting or how tough is this schedule coming up? Let me just pull up the rest of the month here, the rest of August here. So after KC, 2 more with KC, you got 7 in a row on the road, Rangers, Padres, 4 with the Rangers, 3 with the Padres. Then you get the Cardinals, Braves, Blue Jays, all at home. So those 9 games in a row at home, in the backyard, at Target Field. That's kind of nice. But how daunting on paper is this schedule? And I guess how much, room for error, how little room of error do they have now, being 3.5 back from Cleveland?
Yeah, those are all pretty solid teams until you get to Toronto there, who's kind of having a bit of an off year. But it's going to be, like you said, really daunting. They're going to have to really kind of do some work against Texas, which I think I guess you could qualify them as the soft spot for this next little stretch. But at the same time, they just won the World Series last year, and they still remain pretty tough. So it's going to be a huge challenge. But you know what? They're probably looking at the Twins on their calendar and saying, hey, that's going to be a big challenge too, just looking at their record itself.
Yeah, well said there. Good breakdown. What else is going on before we get out of here? Just around the league, around the MLB, we should be keeping tabs on, or what's your favorite non-Twins storyline or division race or player to watch right now, whatever it may be?
I think one of the biggest stars of today's game is Mookie Betts, and one of the biggest stars of this generation. And he just came back today from the injured list. He was out with a broken hand for more than a month here. I think it was pushing a month and a half. And the Dodgers finally get him back. Baseball finally gets to see Mookie, who's always super fun. And hey, what do you know? He hit a home run in his first game back.
Yeah, hopefully Carlos Correa can do the same when he finally comes back too here. Who's your favorite in the NL right now? I know Phillies, Dodgers kind of running away with the top 2 there at the top in the NL. Who's your favorite in there? Or maybe you got a sneaky wild card you're kind of rooting for on the side as well.
Sure. So, I'm always a big Dodgers fan. They're one of my secondary teams that I like to follow a lot, especially on West Coast games. But the Phillies, boy, it's hard to argue against that. They've got that top line starting rotation and just so much firepower in their lineup. So I would definitely put the Dodgers or the Phillies.
All right, man, we got to get out of here. Always fun talking Twins with you. Twins split the series with I'm still in Cleveland time. Twins win game 1 versus Kansas City. Lead is still 3.5 games. Cleveland won again 9-8 tonight. Game 2 versus Kansas City. That's tomorrow. First pitch, same time, 6:40 p.m. Again, this is in the backyard at Target Field. Huge shout out to all the everydayers out there that always make us your first listen. Rest assured, we'll be back each and every game right here, breaking it all down. Got to go check out all of Lou's work on X. Give him a follow at Sweet Lou MN, plus all the work he's always ripping up over at ZoneCoverageMN.com as well. Anything new? I haven't asked you in a while. Anything new up over at ZoneCoverageMN.com we can go check out?
It's not up quite yet, but in a couple days, I'm going to have it out there. It's just kind of a little look at life with Louis, because I think we're going to be seeing a lot of Louis Varland over the next few weeks, and that can be a really good thing, and that can be a really challenging thing. So just kind of diving deep into what life with Louis is going to be like over the next 8 weeks or so.
Life with Louis from Sweet Lou. That's awesome.
it.
Can't wait to check that out. Again, that's up over at zonecoveragemn.com here. Sounds like in the next few days. Go like this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. So close to 8,000 subscribers. That's always much, much appreciated. That'll do it for us, though. Sweet Lou, check them out over at zonecoveragemn.com. Luke Inman on X at Luke_Spinman. We'll see you next time. But until then, signing out.